All right. So, hello everyone. This is Saurav, and welcome to uh, a very special Sunday session with us. Uh, though we have been not doing this Saturday live for a few weeks now, because all the admins, all the parents are quite busy right now because things are opening up. But just a few days back, maybe a week or two, I got to know about a great initiative happening in Bangalore, and the idea sounds really very good. And I think we need to introduce such ideas to all the parents and children, learners, and the members of our community. So I got connected with one of the member, and today we have the team with us. It's not one person. It's not going to be a one-to-one discussion, but a one-to-many discussion, which I believe is more fruitful and more interesting. So this is all about the Repair Cafe from Bangalore, and as I posted before that, we will be having a few of the members today with whom we'll be talking about the ideas, how they came up with this foundation, so and so. But personally, when I heard about Repair Cafe and the idea of repairing our own stuff, not to just throw away things because it's not working, I could relate a lot to my own self because living in Mumbai, I really look out for help. I really call uh, electrician or a plumber for a basic things. So I think getting introduced to such a concept and understanding why we need to practice such things is very important, and hence we are here. Uh, Today is Sunday, but we will keep this video on YouTube under the Saturday Live playlist so that you can watch it later and you can also share with others if you really like the concept. So let's not wait anymore. Let me call upon the team. Uh, so, uh, Purna and guys, if you can hear me, you can slowly, yeah, just hold on. I will slowly bring in everyone. Yeah. Okay, so we have Purna with us. Uh,
Hi.
we have Jitendran with us. We have Vishakha with us, and we also have Himadri with us.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for
Yes.
joining us today and giving us the opportunity to understand, about how uh, things are very important and how we need to understand that, throwing away things is not really the only option. We also have the option to repair it. So, uh, where to start from? I mean, how the idea started, and before we start, can we have a little introduction from all of you so that we can understand from where you all are coming?
Yeah. So I think Jitendran, you can go first. I mean, I'll. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everybody. This is Jitendran. I am based out of Bangalore. I am an engineer by qualification, and I like to tinker around with products, whatever it be. It could be an automobile, it could be a tap at home or an electrical gadget at home, and try and fix it. So I like to fix things, and I am actually very much against throwing stuff. If it even if it doesn't work, try and find a way to put it to some other use rather than sending it to the waste dump. So I'm happy to be here today. I'm actually quite impressed with what I heard from Saurav as to what you guys are doing, which is very, very unconventional and I think a very bold move. So I'd be happy to share any of the points that you want from us and any knowledge that we have with all of you guys. Thank you.
Purna, you are on mute.
Yeah. Vishaka, you would like to introduce yourself? Uh,
Vishaka, you are
I
also
think
on mute.
Vishaka also seems to have a bad connection, I think.
yeah. Okay.
Vishaka, you're on
So
mute.
Okay, I think Vishaka will come little later. I think Himadri, maybe you can try. You can introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everybody. Uh, I am Himadri. I've trained as an architect and I teach architecture at a school of architecture. And but this is somewhat of a passion which I discovered while somewhere down during my life. And the reason, for me that I felt very connected with this whole idea of repair and for fixing things is yes, I like to tinker. I would like to tinker with possibly with fixing a little bit of bicycles and some mechanical things, but more because I think I consider myself a hoarder. I pretty much keep things. I don't know. I wait for ideas to come to me later. So I think that's what qualifies me to be someone who likes to do this. And yeah, the journey so far has been very exciting, and we've had chance to meet so many people. When we started out, we had no idea, who all were out there who were doing similar things, or who all were out there who were interested in doing these kind of things. But the more we dig, the more time goes on, we find that family is expanding. So it's great, and I look forward to talking to you all as well. Thanks.
Okay, so My name is Purna, and I basically I've worked in corporate for a long number of years, and I have an interest in education, and I'm more interested in exploring the things which are not involved in the education system, and environment is one of it which interests me a lot, and hands-on skills are something which is always there in our education system, but it is always used as a stepbrother. So when I so I'm also started this collective, and now we are actually more than 15 members here in Bangalore, and we call this initiative as Repair Cafe Bengaluru. Basically, to bridge the gap, so what I felt in the society that there are very less intergenerational workshops are there in which even children are involved, even elders are involved, and there can be some free flow of exchange of skills between them. So when we stumbled upon this format of Repair Cafe, of course, what we do here in India, in Bangalore, the Repair Cafe format is very, very different from what happens in Europe. So before I further dwell upon it, I'll just request if Vishakha is can introduce herself.
Hi everybody. Sorry about my network issue earlier. I'm Bishaka. I'm from Bangalore, and basically an upcycler and quilter. So I look forward to repairing apparels or home decor items like curtains or bed sheets. So basically the motto is don't throw but upcycle. So I deal a lot with fabric repair. That's my area of expertise. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you, Vishakha. So as you have seen, that we have lots of members in Bangalore, and these are generally their householders, which have a very keen interest in repair and maintenance of their own items, and that is how they felt, they felt connected with this idea. Now, I remember when I first met with Jitendran, that was one of our workshops in 2019. So, Jitendran, how you have come to this workshop? Like, how, from where, and what interests you in this program?
Okay. Actually, this is just before the pandemic hit, but there's been this itch to do some kind of a repair service, not on a commercial level, not have a repair shop, and because I found that a lot of people, even at home, are more or less, surprised or overwhelmed with what they see, like the dripping tap, or a bulb doesn't come on, and the plumbing doesn't work, or some electrical gadget doesn't work, and you end up calling, I would call a reasonably street smart person to help you. but that person has literally no technical background or knowledge as to why things work or why things don't work, and usually does something by trial and error, he's possibly a little more aware than say the person who called for his service. And all the time the person who's requesting his service gets a feeling that this person is not giving him what he should be getting, and there's always this underlying feeling that am I being taken for a ride here, and so we all become very suspicious, be it the mechanic at your workshop or be it the electrician who comes home, or the plumber. And eventually the service that you get, or the is usually it is not as to the expectations, and then you come away feeling really let down because you also paid a lot of money to get this thing done and it didn't happen. So to me, this looks like something that actually is not too difficult, because just like we all learn how to use a pen, paper, or a computer or a laptop or a phone, it is not any more difficult than any of those stuff. And most of the people today who use, say, a telephone, I mean, the mobile phones, uh, possibly don't care about what technology goes inside, but they do know that there's a problem with the network, or there's a problem with the coverage, or the antenna or the signals are not too strong enough, and they're able to figure out to a large extent by themselves. So that sort of, I felt that we need to have a platform or a forum where we can actually exchange this and make people remove the fear of touching these gadgets with, of course, due precautions and so on. So when we met, when I my actually this I was introduced to this thing by my wife to Repair Cafe. She was browsing something and found that there is a Repair Cafe initiative, which I said, "Wow, this looks good. So let's go." And we actually gate crashed into one of the programs, and I felt perfectly at home right there. And there were a lot of people who were who came with the problems that I was thinking in my mind needs to be addressed. So uh, that's sort of something that I felt is really worthwhile. And honestly, I also try to train the painters, the plumbers, and the electricians who do come and fix things either at my house earlier. And I found that they were completely closed to the to learning, or enhancing their knowledge from a technical standpoint. That means if you knew the theory or the technique behind it, then it's pretty cool or pretty easy to do it. So that's when I felt that maybe we can try and do a different way, and then do it to people who are probably like-minded, and make them feel that, hey, we are behind you, we are with you. We may not know everything, but we can certainly help and work on this thing together. So that's, I mean, briefly what I just felt about this program. So you needn't be a geek or a person who's pretty nifty with his hands or anything, but you can still do it. It doesn't need, you don't need to be a extremely gifted person.
Yeah. So, Saurav, I would like to talk about now the various programs that we run, because we actually have some close groups, which is again on social media groups like WhatsApp groups and all, which is available in two cities right now, in Bangalore as well as in Hyderabad, where all the householders, like all of us are members of those groups, all the householders are discussing their day-to-day repair problems. So this is an online interaction which happens at, like, it continues, the discussion goes on 24 by 7. And but it is only those people who come and join us, those who are really interested in this discussion. And as Jitendran has said, that you don't need to be really a geek to understand all this. And this is more from the point of view of restoring your things so that you can not throw away to the landfill, or maybe you can give it another chance, you can gift it to somebody, like that. Now I'll talk about this program, which you can see it on the screen right now. Himadri, would you like to take him to this program, which we do it in Sanjay Nagar and other places?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. So, uh, honestly, this is a repair cafe, but it's a repair cafe which is happening primarily for repairing cycles, and also it is happening in partnership with something called Cycle Day. So there is something. This is a Cycle Day was an initiative started by a government body. It's called Directorate of Urban Land Transport. So they were into sustainable mobility, And I was also in my previous avatar. I worked for a nonprofit who was working for sustainable urbanism, and that's how the whole thinking had started at that point. So the idea here is that we have so a cycle repair workshop looks like this, as you can see over here. And the idea was what we found. This idea was um, very attractive across generations, because we find a lot of children, most children, they have cycles, and that's kind of like the first thing, that first adventure is about taking a cycle and running off in the street. So most of the children, they have cycles. And we find that because the children are interested, when we say that, look, we are going to have a cycle repair, it's not as if that we are going to overhaul the cycle or something like that. It could be something very simple, which you'd be surprised. Sometimes it is like just filling air. And there's a cycle which has been there forever, and it's been in the balcony, and it was too hot and the air escaped it, so we bring it on and we just pump some air, and lo behold, it's ready to go. And that's starting from that sort of simple thing. And then going to more complex things like adjusting the brakes, and to the extent of fixing punctures. And what was interesting over here is that, as you can see in the photographs, that the children themselves get involved. So that's another big advantage of having children there, because they're very enthusiastic, and it takes no time. All you need to do is hand them a spanner and say, hey, can you open that bolt, or can you help me? And that's it. It's like a house on, well, it's like it just catches on. So I think, yeah, I mean, that's what we had a number of these cycle repair workshops, but that's what I wanted to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
So sort of, yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah. I just have a question here because I was listening to Jitendran and also Himadri that you know I was listening and I was just reflecting back on my life, and I can see that my grandfather used to have a toolbox and also have some kit for the gardening stuff, and also some things with which you can clear the drain, which was within the house, and these simple things like a pumping machine for the cycles. So we used to have all those things in our house in those days. But after one generation, I am the third generation. So, since you are dealing with this, since we have been discussing, talking, I would like to understand that what really happened and why we shifted from that kind of a practice or culture to something where, just for a problem in the tap or just for a switch, we call an electrician or a plumber. So, what can be the reasons?
Okay. So, I mean,
Himadri,
if
do you want to go?
yeah.
As you wish. I mean, you could take it as
Okay.
well.
So,
Yeah.
Saurav, this is a very
I am
personal
also there.
viewpoint. Okay. So I'll go first. So, Saurav, this is a very personal viewpoint. Okay. I think, it's because when you mentioned your grandfather, I believe it's a change in mindset of the older generation, which said, let's give our kids the best. And the best at that point in time was usually trying to be financially very stable, right? And you try to accumulate wealth. So when you do that, you then become much more wealthier from a economic perspective, and then you say, okay, maybe I can have servants or people to help me do this stuff, right? But I think grandparents' time they didn't have a whole lot of help, and they didn't have a whole lot of money either. But they had a goal to make the money. So when they made the money and then they said, yeah, let's give these kids a good chance to go ahead. I think somewhere down the road it got diluted that you still need to be self-reliant. I mean, you could be as rich as you want, but and be self-reliant. Because it used to bother me. I mean, I feel that's one issue because it used to bother me that there are a lot of even my daughter, for example, at one point in time when she had a bicycle and this thing had a puncture, she just didn't know what to do with it. So she calls up because they had a phone on hand. She would call up and say, "Hey, Dad, the cycle's air has gone from this wheel. So I said, yeah, you look for the nearest cycle shop, or you wheel the cycle home. So then she said, can I wheel it home? You can. These kind of things, I think, we sort of end up making the kids feel that the comfort is far more important, and the convenience is more important than possibly doing it by their own hands. And I think it should be revived. There's nothing like the pleasure of one doing it yourself. And even simple things like you mentioned, you had a garden toolkit, but probably you never got a chance to use it because you're not even allowed to touch it, because it was the tool that belonged to the gardener, or the tool that belonged to the plumber or somebody else. So, I mean, that's my view. I'm not sure if Purna or Himadri would like to add something to that.
Yeah, okay. So, Himadri, I'll go first, or you want to talk? Okay. Okay, fine, thanks. So, Saurav, I have a little different take. When I started working on this concept, I thought we have lost the battle already. Actually, it is not the same. It looks like that we have lost the battle, but this whole virtue of repair and reuse and recycle and all that is very much ingrained in our blood. So it is difficult for us to part with. You will see in yourself itself that whenever you buy a new thing and whenever you think twice before discarding an old thing, because either you feel that, okay, let me keep it, let me hoard it, because in our houses we have lots of space to keep things, so we don't think twice, we don't, but it doesn't generally go to the landfill. It doesn't generally go to the dustbin. Secondly, if you just move around from the posh markets, you will see there's in the second or the third lanes there are whole networks of repairers who sees till today also on your road, on your somewhere wherever we all live, we see hordes of tailors sitting. Cobblers are a very usual this thing. Electricians. So they may not be available in the first row of the market, but they are available in the second or the third row of the market. So that network is already there. That network is still there, and it is still surviving. It may be evolving. The people who are earlier repairing the say kitchen utensils or something, now maybe their children have gone into motor repairing, they're into garages and those kind of things, because there the business comes. That's the only shift which has happened, but it is still there. It is still there in a different form. Only thing is, there are forces in the city when we live in the city. So if you go to village, the scenario is very, very different. Even the things which are discarded from the city, they are actually used in the till today. If you go to any village, you will see the VCDs are still played and still used over there, but we don't use it anymore. It is all just dumped in our houses. We don't use the VCRs and all those recorders. We don't use it anymore, but it is still used somewhere. It is not. And the biggest example, sort of, I mean, I've been to I've been to Bombay and I've been to Calcutta, and I see ambassador cars, the old ambassador cars, they're still running. I'm sure there is a whole set of infrastructure is there which is helping it to run. I mean, it is not, as you know, the company long back has stopped manufacturing, but they are still running on the roads. So this is, I think, my take on this.
Yeah, I of course, I just want to add another point to this whole galaxy of points, which has already been put by Jitendran and Purna. And that is that there is something to be said about our education system. I think I'm saying it from a perspective because I am in the teaching profession. So, and particularly, I can tell you that in architecture, the whole idea is that there is something to be said about, that we are no longer, the education system is not geared towards hands-on learning. Because I think, well, I mean, multiple reasons probably, but I think one of the things is that, our sort of economic history, post liberalization, and the kind of how we gain success on the back of delivering services, which are kind of like IT, for example. All these cities, Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, all these cities are really big IT centers, right? So um, I think the sort of the success that came from a non-hands-on education has sort of overshadowed this thing. And I agree with Jitendran and I agree with Purna that it's overshadowed, but it's there. It's there, and it just needs to for us to just reach out, and it'll be close at hand. Yeah.
Okay, so it's quite a good
Purna,
Yeah.
you're
perspective that
muted.
I have got.
Yes,
Yeah,
I just unmute myself. Yeah. Unfortunately, the children are the one who have not seen. See, we all have seen this culture in our younger days, and we have seen our parents doing it. And as you talk about the toolbox, which is, it is just like a cult in every household.
yeah,
But this, because of the nuclear families, this whole thing is slowly going away because parents don't have time, or they're busy somewhere, or all these things are happening. So the focus on these things is reducing. See, for example, I'll tell you now. I mean, I'll tell you the evidence is still there in our society. Now, we have Vishakha with us. Now, Vishakha runs a small initiative or a business, and see, she's a volunteer with us, and she takes care of our mending workstations. So, Vishakha, why have you gone into this kind of quilting kind of work? Do you think there are a lot of people who are around there? I mean, there are a lot of customers who are interested in this kind of work when you have lots of these ready-made thing available in the malls. Vishaka, are you muted?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah,
So actually, when Saurabh was talking about toolbox and gardening kits at home, I was thinking that our grandmothers would have one sewing box also most of the times with a few reels of basic colored thread, needle, and scissors. So any dress or any garment, if torn, she would immediately mend it and you could reuse it. And there was also this custom of clothes of older kids being passed on to younger kids. And if nothing is to be used, they would convert these fabrics into quilts or floor mats or table mats or curtains. And upcycling was the thing that was seen in our country. But now, what has happened is garments, especially fabric, fashion, is so fast moving and it's become so cheap that you get garments within a range of 100 or 50 rupees. So, nobody wants to actually repair what they have. They just conveniently put that away and buy a new garment. So I think this consumerism and the word sale everywhere is enticing the youth to not repair but get a new alternate. So quilts and floor mats, rugs were a part of our history, and still many people make it to just reuse the fabric at home more than as a selling product.
but Vishaka, I believe there is a big whole lot of customers who are also interested in this quilting things for their homes.
Yes, yes. So
You know?
that is again very, personal. Let's say, for example, a
Yeah,
mother has been storing kids' clothing for the last 5 years, but now there is
yeah,
no more space. So they give all the clothes to us and they ask us to make a memory quilt. So it's a
yeah.
compacted version of those clothes which they keepsake and pass it on to their kids when they grow up. Another example is grandmothers who pass away, their saris are lying in the cupboard. So we make quilts out of them and we hand it over to grandchildren. So it's a form of, love and blessings from the grandmother's wardrobe, which goes on to the next generation. So again, it is very like personalized. It's not like a thing for the masses. People who have those sentiments get these kind of quilts made from us.
Okay. So, Saurav, as this Repair Cafe collective, I would like to call it more as a collective because there are actually lots of volunteers who join us and they share their knowledge with us, and we actually help each other and we gain from each other. So, as you said, as I'm mentioning you over here, you can see that we run these programs in various schools. So, these are all not regular schools, they call it as alternate schools, and we also go to regular schools who follows the regular curriculums. So as you have seen, we actually go to resident welfare associations also, and we go to anywhere else. It's on the main road. If you see this photograph, this is on the main road that we are conducting this program for children. So our one of our focus, consumers or the customers we call it, is we actually look upon children because we see that they are missing this whole thing, but they are in our workshops. They are very, very excited. I mean, there's not even a moment that you can see them, sitting quietly. They are very interested because here in this kind of workshops, there is no fear of failure. They can just use their hands, and they can share and look at each other and learn from each other as well. So you can see this boy who is not even shy of doing a stitching, because a lot of these children, the kind of backgrounds that they come, they always face this gender biases. But here you can see that, I mean, this is actually inside them. I mean, it's only that these programs will take them out. uh, so if you see this photographs, this is a Kendriya Vidyalaya school, and where children have actually make binded their own books from the old newspapers and from the old papers. They have created their own books, which they took it home. So these workshops, we didn't find it any difficulty to explain the children. They're very interested in doing it. This is something which is not expected in their schools, but they are very interested in getting involved with it. Now, I will also talk about these government schools. We have worked a lot with the government schools, and I feel sort of there is a difference in the, I don't know, I mean, whether it is related or not, but we also, apart from the workshop, we also try to do other programs as well, in which we talk about the repair culture. So I have done a program with the school children in Bangalore, where we have documented all the repairs around them, and they are quite excited to do it. And this is how they came up with these things. They have literally documented the shops, with their own skills. And if you can see here, this is the book we came out with. This is called an association with tools, and this is about, I think, about a couple of years ago, it is being awarded by NCRT also as a very special thing from Bangalore, a special jury award we got it. So this is nothing which I have explored for the first time. Children knew about it. It is just to give them a platform to sort of express, to handhold them to express it. Because I think in schools or anywhere, I mean, we need to encourage it, because we know about it, they don't know about it. Now, this is a book that we got it. I mean, from Pratham Books, we wrote this book. Now, I'll talk about one very interesting program that we run, which is an online. It's called Tinker Kinder. So, Himadri, would you like to talk about it?
Yeah, sure. But I was just wondering if there are any questions or any kind of comments. We could take them before we go on to that part.
Yeah.
Saurabh,
So
what do you? Yeah.
yeah, so comments, those who are watching, they can, just write in the comments, and we'll get the questions, and we can put up the questions here for everyone
Sure.
to answer. And also, I have one question. So basically, when we normally see that, children are very much into breaking and making things, and they are very much curious to, build things, look into the things, break it, and then again build it, whether it is working in the same way or not. uh, then at what stage, or how come they become, so different after a few years, maybe after the schooling life, after the college life, they totally forget. So do you think that there is a particular reason for that, or is it the influence of the parents, or is it our education that is taking that skills away, or is the parents that focusing them or pushing them for a consumerism life? What do you think?
Yeah. Okay. So, anybody else like to answer? I'll go first. Okay. So, sort of, well, I am also part of the same system, and I also felt what you have just said. And I have seen this repair in my home, because my father and mother, they both were quite interested in this aspect. There are many factors which are working against this whole thing. See, hands-on skills in our education parlance or anywhere else is being taken, as I said, as a step brother. If you remember, in our schools we used to have something called as SUPW classes. Now, SUPW classes, not everybody knows about it, because many of us, we actually go it as a just a time pass. Nobody used to work in that. Okay, or you talk about all the experiments that used to happen. Experiments were never used to give us any marks, so we are like, okay, fine, we'll go and do something and come back. So all these, in spite of having all, but the education system which comes, like for example, I have heard that Gurukul system, which was earlier, which is actually an Indian system, that has full hands-on skills in it. That is a very different way of education system. But what we took, the education system is a British education system, which is apparently designed to build to make clerks. So this is one of the reasons why this hands-on skill takes a stepbrotherly thing. Now, as you move ahead in life, there are other pressures on you, because right then you have to take a degree, or you have to earn, you have to do some jobs, or you have to take care of your family, those kind of things. So many people who don't practice it on a regular basis, they actually left it. And none of the education system, see, I am from an engineering college, and in my college we have never been encouraged to do any lab based activities. It was just an eyewash. Even if you go for surveys also, it was more or less, you do this assignment and get away with it, that's all. I mean, but you have to score in the in the theory exams. This is just, so this is, I have felt in myself, because it is on and off in my life, because when you are busy in your day to day life, you just forget to do all this, you don't have time to think about it. And so what you do, I mean, you take priorities, because for example, if you see in your homes, there are no such, see, for example, right now, the kind of flat systems that we live, we have no place, no workshop places. Where are the workshop places? Where will you go and sit and do some dirty work? I mean, this is what I feel. I mean, that's why maybe this has become a big thing, even if it is there, but it is not there. It is, you know, it is vanishing. And this is also maybe the reason why a lot of other mental illnesses also are coming, because now I see sort of a lot of parents are talking about that my children is glued to the screen, and so and so. But we should see ourselves also, how much time we spent on the screen, how many times we do anything else which is hands on. So this is a dilemma that we are going through. This is an imposed culture, we are not a culture like that.
Yeah, I want to add a couple of points to that. I mean, your earlier question of when that change happens. I think that it's an ongoing change. You lose some hands-on skills, and you lose some of the innocence as you go through school. But I can give you an example of how architecture students, which is a college actually, we're talking about post pre-university, we're talking about college. And when we went to architecture school in 1990s, we had to learn how to draw by hand. You will be surprised that today I have to drag them to come to take a pencil and draw on a piece of paper. They are almost, yes, they're so dependent on laptops. Now, of course, CAD, 3D, all kinds of very complex softwares are available, GIS and other things which are available now, which helps you multiply your effort. And you are able to scale up, which is today, frankly, honestly, I mean, all of us, we cannot do without the software. So I'm not saying that that's not important. But first, when you go to school, you have to learn how to draw. After that, you can learn how to do CAD or the other things. So, and that is somehow not prioritized. I think that's the word, that, things are not prioritized in that manner. And the hands-on is something very fundamental. Like Puna saying, if it is something which really helps in your mental well-being, it must be something very fundamental, right? So it cannot be something which is a tool which helps you multiply your work. So it is something meditative. It needs its time. It is something very fundamental, and that needs to be given its time. So I think in the rush to sort of, I think you've already mentioned the points. This consumerist lifestyle and other things. I don't know where the pressures, because sometimes I find even parents are okay. They are okay for their children to take it easy, but they have peer pressure. The children have peer pressure as well. Like so. Yeah, that's one.
Also, do you
Uh,
think that the product design or the product that comes to the cities are designed in such a way that it is not meant for repair; it is meant for direct replacement. So that idea also adds to the factor that the children and the people are kept away from the idea of you can repair it, you can use it again and again. So I think that is also a strong factor. Do you think so?
See, to some extent, Saurav, that is right. But I think it's also, if you see, typically, I mean, when I say my generation kind of people, whenever there was a gadget at home, let's say, at that point in time, a two-in-one, a tape recorder and a radio kind of a thing was a very popular device. And you were literally, most people I know would not even touch the buttons on the radio or to change the station, because you say, hey, don't touch it, you're going to spoil it. So that mentality I have also seen to a strong extent even in my college when I did my engineering. So we had a lot of equipment which would be in the nice little cupboards locked up, which was meant to be used for our experiments and learning, which would never come out. And then I made the mistake of asking the person that, look, why is it not being given to us? He said, no, if you use it, you will damage it, and if you damage it, you will not get one for your exams. So very sheepishly, I had to go back to the professor and request him that, look, we will come during a holiday, maybe a Saturday or a Sunday, and we would like to use this equipment because the book says if you use this equipment, you can measure some signal, and that signal will tell you is your amplifier working or is it going to work. But I know most of my batchmates who've never made that attempt. We were struggling to even make simple standard experiments work, which is the building block of everything that we are going today. So we seem to be losing that basic because we are saying that, okay, it's good to know ABCD, it's good to know your numbers, and good to know English. But then what about the rest of the stuff? What about other skills? How do you operate something? How do you fix something? The beauty is most of the stuff that we handle today, most of them are extremely intuitive. That means you don't need to be educated. You don't need to have a degree to operate those machines, or equipment, which you can more or less intuitively figure it out. Today, if you show a modern cell phone, even to a 2-year-old kid, I'm sure the kid would figure out within maybe an hour's time what to do with this phone. And the kid doesn't know how to read. The kid doesn't know how to, doesn't know numbers. But the kid is able to make some function out of the phone, maybe play a game, switch on, switch the screens, and sometimes make a mess of the phone settings, which the parent or owner of the phone will struggle to get it back going again. So I think we should encourage this in school itself, that experiment. You might make a few
Yes.
mistakes, you might break a couple of things, it's perfectly fine. But then you need to learn from that experience, that, okay, what you should be doing again or what you should do to prevent it from going bad. So this learning thing is becoming more top down driven thing rather than learning experiential learning kind of a concept, which I feel is very, very important for you to feel. We say, look, tighten the screw. How much hard do you tighten it? So we say hand tighten it. So now if there's a very powerful person, very strong person, he would over tighten this thing and maybe break or damage the item. So you need to get a feel for these things, and it's not impossible. And the other point I just want to mention is, today, if you buy any automobile, maybe it's a bike, motorbike, or a car, you get a toolkit. I'm reasonably certain more than 80% of the people don't even know its existence. And nowadays, because of the regulations, you are also supposed to have a first aid kit supplied to you when you buy this bike or car. And nobody even knows how to use it. Now, anywhere else, I think the seller of this automobile or the device should tell you, hey, you know what? There is this little bag here which has got a band-aid, it's got an antiseptic thing, it's got a splint, it's got a bandage, maybe a spanner and stuff like that, which can bail you out of trouble when you're when you have a need to do it. And that is the time you need. When there is a problem, that's when we really need to use some of these stuff, because you're not stranded and not knowing what to do. So, I mean, I'm not so sure it's just the school alone, but I think the education system needs to insist on experiential learning and encourage people to sort of, soil their hands, have a few bad incidents where, something blows up in your face or whatever, but without getting hurt. But that is something that you never forget. In my case, I had a short circuit, which I never expected. And it made such a blast that even today I get the nightmares, but it has made me extremely cautious dealing with electricity. So I can be damn sure that I will not touch an electrical connection even in my sleep, until I know that it is not active or alive. Okay. So learning, I think, is going to be a big change, and in schools, they need to help people do practice. Like Himadri mentioned, drawing. I don't think
Yes.
people today can draw circles. We had a geometry box which you used to proudly hold, maintain it, try and make measurements, divide a piece of wood or something into equal parts, make circles, draw them, etc. So drawing itself is a problem. So I think the practical aspect of skill sets is being nullified, and it is considered cool to be let's say technology savvy. But I mean, to state my case, I mean, I now had no idea what a computer was. But today I'm reasonably comfortable with those. I can mess around with those things and make them work, or even fix some things that are broken. But I never had a formal training in computers. So there's a lot of stuff that you can pick up, and I think the job market, or the what do you say, the way the society looks at it, this guy is a software engineer or a computer engineer. Now I don't think he's any different from the rest of the guys who passed out from his class, but it's just that he was probably lucky he landed a good job, more than being more skilled than the other person. So this differentiation is unfortunately, I think, driving people away to the quote unquote glamorous part of it, and leaving away the practical aspects of a lot of things which will stand them in good stead in normal life.
True. Very true. Okay, we
I
have
just
a comment.
Yeah,
So
I just wanted to highlight one. So what Pune had asked earlier, asked me to talk about Tinker Kinder. So thanks for that comment from Recenter, based out of Tiruvannamalai, and we'd be happy to sort of work with you at some point. I just wanted to highlight that we run this program called Tinker Kinder, which is this whole idea of how to start children off so along a path of repair awareness. That's what we call it. Um, the idea is so we generally we have participants who are from the age of 8 to 13, and we have various sort of input sessions where we talk about repairing cycles, or repairing a puncture, or telling them what are the layers in a tire, as you can see in the screen right now. Or we have some sessions which are on plumbing, which Jitendran takes. So this whole idea of something basic like an aerator, which is there present in all the homes. So what's interesting is we got asked many times that how is an online program hands-on? I think that's a very fundamental question that everybody might have. So what we basically, this was a discovery for us. We found that the children were sitting, and we started around the time during the pandemic. We found that the children were sitting at home, and the home is the biggest laboratory for them, because they're surrounded with all these objects which need maintenance, and they can go back to it again and again, and sometimes they know that there are problems, like for example, typically your tap will not have the proper flow of water because the aerator is clogged or something, or the cycle that you have kept aside for a long time just doesn't have air in it, or it has a puncture which you don't know when or where will you go and get it repaired. And of course, we also have more complex things like electrical repair, like doing a small electrical circuit. so that people are able to, the children are able to understand what does electricity really mean, like, how does a circuit get completed. And also we have something around maintaining laptops. So that's the most complex thing we deal with. But for an 8-year-old, we found a lot of enthusiasm, and for a from younger as well as that age bracket is not too old, but we found a lot of enthusiasm, and they understand. And the beauty of it is that, look, it's online, but it is dealing with stuff which you're surrounded with, all the time. So
Yeah.
that's how it works well.
Yeah.
Purna, would you like to?
Yeah, yeah. So I'll just invite Vishaka. So Vishaka is one of the mentors for us. So Vishaka, would you just share your experience with the children, because we conducted a couple of programs when you are as a mentor.
Yeah, so children are very, very creative, and I think there is no dam constructed in their thoughts, which kind of stops the ideas from coming. So simple classes that we've had, where they just have a box, like a delivery Amazon empty box, and they want to kind of reuse it in some other form. So, for a basic person like me, we'll say, okay, just open the box and put your pen, pencil, whatever. But in the last session we had, there was a particular boy who was very specific that he has to add some compartments for segregating pencils and pens and erasers. And he was very clear with what he wanted as an outcome from a very simple cardboard box. So that kind of really took me by surprise. So I'm sure many kids that you all meet are full of such ideas with very clear thoughts on what their end product should be. So yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. So I would also, I think Kulraj ji has also joined us today.
Yes,
So
yes, right.
yes, yeah. So Kulraj ji, can you hear me?
Yes, Purna.
Okay, so Kulraji, I would like to ask you now. Okay, for the audience, she is one of our mentors in Repair Cafe, and she is also volunteers. So she is a retired professor from the college, but she is a homemaker who's very, very much interested in repairing and maintaining her things. So she is very eager to, utilize our, association, at the same time share her knowledge. So we are benefited, and I'm sure she also likes to be associated with Repair Cafe. Now, Kulraji, I would like to understand from you a very specific thing about our mending sessions. What is your take on it? You as a mentor and participants as children.
I think people just throw away garments or dresses because of a small hole or a tear, and it's very essential to tell them that it is a total wastage. So they can easily mend a hole or a tear and wear it. At times, there are certain dresses that we don't want to discard. So with a little bit of repair, we can reuse it. And I think children are also aware of the wastage, the the garbage that we collect over and over again over a period of time. So to avoid that, we have to reuse certain things. So I think children are quite enthusiastic in learning such things.
Yeah.
Mending clothes, mending other things, maybe a bed sheet or anything that we find in the house. We can mend it and use it, reuse it, and repurpose it also. So I
Yeah.
find kids are very keen to learn all these things.
So I have, Saurabh, I want to talk about, we don't only work with the children, but we have something for adults also. And apart from the offline, we also present an online workshop which is called as Troubleshoot It Yourself. And Jitendran, would you like to talk about this workshop? I think you can see the photo, right, Saurabh? Yeah, okay, thanks.
Yeah, so for the basically, you are trying to help adults also deal with stuff that they might have at home. I mean, it could be just a simple extension box, maybe an iron box, maybe a mixie, or maybe a table lamp, some of the simple stuff. So, like you pointed out, Saurav, the challenge in an online kind of situation is to bring in adequate precautions before people can use it without scaring them off from the basic topic. So, we try to encourage them into not scaring them to feel that it is impossible to do, and try to push their initial interest or encouragement, or encourage them to continue in the direction, try and fix it. And sometimes, there are prompting questions that come up. Hey, what happens here? What do we do in this case, and so on? So we first tell them, look, these are the tools that you need. It's not mandatory that you need those tools. You can make do without those, but these are the precautions that you need to certainly take. And some of the easier stuff, for example, most people today like to use a lot of strong chemicals which are available in the market. Now, case in point would be what Kulraj ji has, recommended, that we could use vinegar, for example, is available at home, some salt, okay, or some baking soda, some lime, and that combination does a pretty good job. And today, if you did look around, you could also find some, what I would call as environment-friendly enzymes or bioenzymes, which do a equally good job, and without having the after effects or dangers of chemical fumes, and these chemicals going into the drain, etc., which is going to create further problems into the environment. Now, while this is a very, very small drop in the ocean of mess that we have around us, it's at least a start, and we think that this movement slowly should gain momentum, where we have even common people saying that, hey, I will take care of this. So, like what Vishaka says, fixing a bed sheet, or something that's just a small tear on it or something, you can make it creative, and then you allowing the participant to do it himself with his own creativity, and the joy that the person gets in having the end output is actually, I'm saying, it's worth the effort and the torture in terms of doing it online. Frankly, we would prefer to do it offline, but we were ourselves very, very skeptical. In fact, we have had, I would say, a lot of serious arguments, if you want to call it that, regarding going online with some of the stuff that we are planning to do. But I think we have managed it with a lot of caution. And I think the collective experience within the team, different opinions from people, and keeping in mind that the audience is not going to be, let's say, PhDs or BTechs from that perspective, can still do it. So we have actually, I think the most interesting one was, I think we had a homemaker who came up with an extension box which was in pretty bad shape. And then we realized that, yeah, it is possible, but the fact that the extension box went into a very bad shape was probably because she was not aware that just because you have five outputs there, five plug points, you cannot put all five with the same amount of power. So we had to emphasize that the total power is what can come only from the wall outlet. So the extension box can have 10 outlets, but it doesn't mean you can get 10 into, let's say, five, outlets power. You will only get the same total power, but divided by 10. It's not multiplied or added in that case. So it's a learning for us too, and because we assume a lot of things in our own mind, because what is very apparent to me is completely foreign to another person. So I found that the mending classes, for example, are extremely useful even to me. Said I would never dream of trying to mend a pair of socks. I mean, I would probably be very tempted to throw it, because I said, look, nobody can fix this thing because it's made by a machine. And some of the stuff that the team did come up with is absolutely brilliant, because it looks almost as good as new, and it could still be used. So we think that this thing has to gain more traction. So the more people that we get, allow people to learn without getting hurt, but they should experience it. So I feel strongly that if that can be encouraged to a larger extent at all forums, it's going to make things better, without looking down on any of these so-called repair activities. We shouldn't look at repair as a poor cousin or something like that. It's something that we all need to do by ourselves.
Yeah. So I think there is a very interesting question which has come. I can see here. Somebody is
Yeah, yeah.
asking, are there any India relevant repair books that we can use as a starting point? Books on mending clothes. repairing cooking utensils, gadgets, furniture, bicycles, and games, etc. So, sort of,
Honestly, Poonam, just to think, honestly, I wish there were books like that, and
yeah,
we
I know,
certainly
I
wouldn't
know.
have this forum.
I know, I know.
So,
So, Saurav, actually, there are books written on in Indian context also, but those books are not merely available on, on a larger circulation. People who actually practice it, they have kept it to themselves, something like that. Because right now you can only see one such platform, which is a YouTube, where you can see a lot of local stuff coming up in vernacular language, which is very, very encouraging thing. Because we Indians, from the day one, we follow the West or Europe. We never decide, we never thought of, now maybe that, of course, I am not the first one who's talking about it, but now we are actually talking about in the Indian context, if something works out, how it works in the Indian context. So, in this thing, I would suggest that you can join Repair Cafe, but there are no such books or such things are available where you can learn it. But there are lots of online stuff is there, in which many of it would be useful. And now a lot of Indians are also started writing about mending and things like that. So this can be one of the clues. And please, whichever city you are, please try to connect with the Repair Cafe networks or any such networks. There are other networks also who are very similarly working in this space only. But sort of coming back to this whole discussion, what see in Bangalore, what we did is the as a concept we didn't get much traction about it, because I'm very honest about it, because people thought that okay, repair is just there. What do we do? What do we go there? It's not about 3D painting, 3D or some animation or nothing about that. It's not very fancy something. So they felt that what is there to do it. But at the same time, we also felt that there are many parents who came to us and they told that I am a mechanical engineer, I am an electrical engineer, but I just don't know how to repair my child's bicycle. This is a handicap with me. So can I do something? Can I learn something? So they came and we were very happy about it, because um, this is exactly what we wanted to do. So we have not limit ourselves to one place. We moved around in the city, about 40 such locations, more than 40 locations, you name it. It is RWA, schools, roadside, wherever people have wanted us to do and they help us in putting something over there, we were there. And it is always with small number of people who are just interested to do something with the society. They came forward wholeheartedly, and they worked. So we opened our channels to elders, to online, to offline, to children, everywhere. Wherever we can talk about this concept, this virtue. Because before it, we know that it is not lost, but it also brings some kind of camaraderie between us. We now look ourselves as a tribe. We started connecting with the values of the group. And there is no such more any introduction is required for us. Because when you come into this group, all these value systems comes into this place. This culture is something that we look forward to build up, and this is what we are doing here in the city. And I know that much more possibilities are there in other cities as well. If people can write to us, approach us, it will be a great effort, because I think it will also bring a sort of intergenerational relationships. Because in our systems we have the formats where all the children come together, where all the elders come together, but there are no such format where both of them interact with each other, they learn from each other. The seniors, the elders, and everybody, they have full knowledge. The children are the one who need to learn that knowledge, but they are enthusiastic. Somebody has to handhold handhold them, and it will be a really a win-win situation for all. But again, Saurav, there is another very important problem which we face. It's something called as, I don't want to talk about it more in detail here, but it is something called as, the thing that we have in a society. It's called caste system. many, if you see in this repair skills, a lot of lower caste people, they are involved in it. So many people, we feel that they have a bias towards connecting with this when they come into this workshop. They don't like to be seen as one of the repairers. So we are also going through this issue, and we are also facing that this is something we can't change it overnight. I mean, this is something we have to deal with it. So but we don't stop it here, because there is something called, as we call ourselves as maintainers caste, and maintainers, guys, are very, very important part of any city. And and they are invisible force, and when they are not there, we actually feel the pinch of it. And you know who are these maintainers people who in the city? Very, very, we don't feel thank you about them, we just take it for granted.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with you. And I hope that we have a very good Bangalore-based homeschoolers and unschoolers. I hope some of them are watching, or they may watch this video later. And I would like to request them to connect with you all, try to understand it, what you all are doing, why you all are doing. And I hope somehow we can bring in the idea to the homeschooling forum, and also we can involve the learners, or the children who are in our community to join this idea of fixing things, and keeping one of these skill alive. So I think that was a wonderful 1 hour session, uh, and this is something which really, I'm pretty sure that people who will hear about this will definitely connect, and I am also connecting very strongly. It is just that we need to find a way to implement that thing in our life practically. And
Yeah.
what I can promise from myself is that I will definitely give a try to implement this in a practical way. And I would also request all our community members who are feeling interested, who are feeling encouraged, who are feeling inspired, who are ready to learn, ready to do some experiment, something to repair, something to break and fix. Please take your time out and give some time to this idea of repairing things. So, thank you everyone from the Repair Cafe Foundation, and I hope that we will have more sessions, because we generally get feedback after the session, because it's a Sunday or a Saturday where parents are involved in different things. They are mostly planning outdoors, so they do watch the video in the coming weekdays, and they give a feedback. If we get a feedback, we'll definitely come back to you. We can organize a small online workshop or something to understand this idea in a deeper way. So
Okay.
let's end this session. But before we end, I would like to have at least one sentences, one word, something from each of you to close this session.
I think, guys, we'll have our motto, which is "Don't throw, fix." So maybe we can say in together. Okay, one, two, three.
Don't
Don't
throw,
So
throw,
fix.
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 Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
wonderful,
Thank you all.
wonderful.
Thank you all for joining.
So thank you everyone. Thank you everyone for watching today, and also people who will watch this video later on. I would encourage you to connect with this wonderful initiative from Bangalore, Repair Cafe Bangalore Foundation, and also to let us know if you have any feedback. And I will also post this video on our YouTube channel, because the Facebook group is a private group. You cannot share the link, but definitely the YouTube link can be shared with everyone. And we want that you share this idea and this video to most of the people, so that they can also get this idea. So thank you everyone once again for joining, and I would
Thank you.
take a sign off right now. Thank you so much everyone.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Thank you
Bye.
so
Bye
much.
Bye.
bye.
Bye. Bye.